Hello everybody, back once again with another video. This one, the top 20 goriest films I own, well, have seen. A few I've seen that I don't own, so a few I've heard are real gory that I haven't seen. So yeah, I've heard a lot of Olaf Ittenbach films, like Burning Moon, Dar Divorce, are real gory. I watched one of his, well, I've got one, Beyond Limits I think it's called, but it's not good. I mean, it's got real crazy gore, but the acting and the sort of budget and script, well, I say script, it's sort of German language, but just, yeah, it's just not a well made film. And I've heard the others aren't great either. Few I was tempted to put in there, like Hostel, Green Inferno, but and Grotesque, but I think those are just gore for the sake of it, kind of. Just not much story. Same with like August Underground films and that. I'm not a massive fan of those kind of. I mean, same as Saw, is gory, but to me it's just gory set pieces. Where some of these, especially ones at the top, are what I call sort of splatter films. So rather than just having sort of disturbing gore, it's sort of, it sounds weird, but some of it's kind of fun sort of gore where the gore's so cartoonish and over the top that it doesn't really get to you. It's just sort of fun. Um, we'll talk about them as we get lower, but yeah, this is the one that kind of inspired me to do this. So spoiler alert, this will be in my next pickup video I got coming. I think the last one was 2 weeks ago. I picked up quite a few films since, and like special editions and some 4Ks and some Arrow, Second Sight, and like a Criterion. So just waiting for an order to come of from Arrow video website, some pre-orders, and then might get one or two second hand if I get a chance to go and see EX. I got some stuff to trade in. But yeah, anyway, on with this. So yeah, I watched this one recently. Kind of inspired me to do this video. It's more of an action film. Yeah, just really impressed with this. Not going to do a review of it, and I'll try not to ramble on too long on this video as I usually do. But yeah, there's a few things. Some of the storyline. It's not really a spoiler, as it says this on the back that he's sort of deaf and mute, but some of the way it's narrated, it does work. Him sort of not being able to talk and using like sign language, and Bill Skarsgård's facial expressions are really good. Yeah, really good fight choreography, some really original characters. Let's see if we can see him. This guy at the back, can't remember his name. Really funny in it. One of the best characters. The guy from The Raid, can we see him? Oh yeah, just up there. It's really good in it. But yeah, this is basically revenge sort of story. Quite a cliche kind of story and plot. It's more of a style of it that's original. So it's really sort of cartoony, comic booky. But yeah, there's like arms being cut off, people being shot up with guns, people being a lot of time he's sort of using his fists and like punching their heads apart and stuff. But yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised. It was sort of 4 out of 5 stars. But yeah, this is the first one I've seen in a while, sort of new releases that sort of inspired me to do this. Next, you got Martyrs. In terms of disturbing, I think I've said this before on the most disturbing films in my collection I did a couple of years ago. But yeah, this is real intense gore, but it's not that much of it. But at the same time, there's a few scenes where there's a lot of blood, and yeah, I guess this is sort of the opposite. So you've got some higher at the top, which are sort of splatterfests and kind of fun movies, and then you've got this one which all the gore really sort of weighs heavy, so it feels gorier than it is. Whereas if you're kind of ranking these on the amount of blood used to make the film, then probably not one of the highest, but yeah, it is sort of very graphic and emotionally scarring. And you've got Meat Grinder. This, I think, is it Japanese or is it Korean? See if I can see on the back. Oh, Thai. That's from Thailand, that one. Yeah, there's a bit of a sort of clue on the back that she basically kills people and makes them into meat. As it says on the back, I don't know if I can focus on that. Contains strong gory violence and horror. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not sort of all the way through with like a massive body count, but it's not just the gore scenes when she kills them. It's when she puts them through the meat grinder. Yeah, there's a few bits in this that are quite sort of cringy to me. Yeah, it's quite a fun one, that. Yeah, quite a well-made film, to be fair. Next, you've got Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. So yeah, I think Sammy G was saying that this and Brain Dead, or as the Americans know, Dead Alive, maybe, and probably Meet the Feebles, Peter Jackson's early works are really hard to get. I don't think they've been upgraded to like 4K or Blu-ray. I think I said in the video before when I was talking about Brain Dead that these just need. It'd be nice if Arrow, fancy Second Sight doing it, as they do sort of slightly more, I wouldn't say realistic films, but a bit of found footage, and you know, not all their stuff's horror, but a bit more some slow burner sort of films by Second Sight. I think if Arrow put out a box set, a triple box set with Bad Taste, Brain Dead, and Meet the Feebles in 4K or Blu-ray with, you know, in like a limited edition box, then yeah, I'd be on that. Yeah, not as intense as Brain Dead. Spoiler alert, that will be later on in the list. I'm sure everybody knows that if you've ever seen it or heard about it. It is known as crazy gory. Yeah, it's got some real crazy gory scenes. Not really a spoiler, but the bit with the chainsaw. It's basically, it won't ruin the film because there's so much mayhem in it. But he basically has a chainsaw, cuts through like one of the aliens, and then his whole body like passes through the alien and comes out the top end once he's sort of split in half. Probably the most insane scene. But yeah, basically humans are on the planet and aliens want to sort of farm them to make them into meat. And then a few Peter Jackson's actually in this. It's really low budget, but he makes it work. Like I said with Brain Dead, you could tell from these early films with no budget that he was going to be a genius director, just to get something cohesive and sort of stylish and good as the special effects are. There's some real funny comedy. There's some riffs to like the Beatles. So one of them drives a car, and he's got like the what you call it, like cardboard pop-up cut out of Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with the Beatles in the car, and he drives behind it, so it looks like they're driving. But yeah, loads of really good scenes, and the aliens look really funny in it. Yeah, I think, like Sammy G said, even these old DVDs are like hard to get nowadays. This one, I think, technically, actually, is meant to have the most blood ever used in a film. I wouldn't put it top just because, well, it's not really a spoiler, but basically, there's a scene where it rains blood, and then Slayer's Raining Blood plays over it. Yeah, this is one of the best remakes, in my opinion. Original is a classic, but when you watch it as aged, not really the acting and the story, it is kind of meant to be campy, but the way the sort of, not the gore, but when the, what do you call them? Not the evilings, I can't remember, the Deadites, sort of fall apart, and it's sort of stop motion kind of Play-Doh-y plasticine. I like the style of it, but yeah, compared to some the gore in this, it is sort of quite aged. But yeah, I mean, there's some really good scenes, a bit with what do you call it, like the electric like turkey carver knife, and the arm is all I'm gonna say is like real intense, and the bit with all the needles. But yeah, it's more just that bit when it rains blood. But yeah, I think this took the price for actually most blood being used, but a lot of it was just falling out of the sky. But yeah, must have used thousands of litres. Re-Animator. I think this is probably Stuart Gordon's best film, I think. I mean, again, this is kind of like a fun sort of splatter romp. There is gore and blood flying around, but it's a lot of like, once he's trying to bring people back, they're taking their heads off, and it kind of is gross out, but like I said, it's done in a fun kind of way, and it's like a lot of like body slime and stuff. Riki-Oh, the story of Ricky. So this is like a martial arts. It's a 2-disc one. It's one features, always one like an uncut. Oh no, one's the DVD, one's the Blu-ray. Yeah, it's a martial arts film, but it's just so over the top and wacky. Really crazy characters, really sort of, I think it's like a Hong Kong. Oh yeah, Hong Kong heroes. I think it's one of the like cat-free kind of films. But yeah, they're just literally punching holes into people. I think there's one bit where he punches some guy in the head, and in like X-ray kind of slow motion, it shows his like skull shatter where he punches his heart out. I've seen it a couple of times, but not for a while. But yeah, it's a prison film, to be fair. So Stuart George was recently ranking his, and I mentioned a few I like, but I forgot to mention this one. But yeah, if you like insane, over the top, cartoony martial arts, gore mixed with just crazy characters and sort of off the wall kind of dark comedy, then I think you'll enjoy that one. Next, you've got High Tension. It's a French film. It's kind of a serial killer film. Yeah, there is a lot of gore. It's more the way the gore is done is sort of really effective. But yeah, it's bits where there's just like it's a bit. All I'm going to say is there's like a, what would you call it? not a tarp, like a big bit of like plastic kind of see-through canvas that you'd use like to paint on or something. I think Dexter uses them to like when he kills somebody, so it don't get blood all over the room. And someone's wrapped up in that and having like a what do you call it, like a baseball bat with barbed wire like smacked in their face, and yeah, the killings are like real gory. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's gore all the way through, but when the gore happens, it's really powerful. Obviously, we had to have some Lucio Fulci in here, known as the Godfather of Gore, so the Beyond. So yeah, this is my second favourite. I mean, some of the colours and what do you call it? Like not just the effects, but the sort of style of like the sort of set pieces. It's just really like original and ahead of its time. There's one effect. What I'm going to say is like zombie guy sort of comes out of this like frozen fridge thing in like I guess it's like the hospital morgue, and it just looks so realistic even compared to like today's zombies. Uh, yeah, if you haven't seen this, it is quite not surreal. I don't know. It's like got a dreamlike kind of style to it. Yeah, it's one we'll see later, which I'm sure people can guess that is more gory than this. But yeah, I really enjoy the Beyond kind of zombie film, but a bit with spy. If you're spider, what you call it, arachnophobic, then a bit that might bother you. This one I've had for years since I was a kid. I think when I was a kid on not VHS, but like a what do you call it, like a blank tape. Some of my mates had recorded onto. They had, I think it was called Baby Cart Warrior. And then there was one like Baby Cart and the River Styx. Basically, there was two shorter films that I think was merged into this Shogun Assassin. But yeah, this to me is a classic band, and I used to have a few of these Vipco ones, but I think I upgraded them. I used to have the Vipco version of Zombie Flesh Eaters and Beyond, and maybe the Mutilator. But yeah, I think I traded them in because they are just plain sort of black cases other than this one. But yeah, basically, Chop's not going to be a spoiler. It's a gory samurai film, so it's obvious what he's going to do with this sword. But chopping people's limbs off, blood literally just sprays out in like fountains, like arterial kind of spray, cutting their heads off. It's a really well made film. It's got some really good sort of cinematography, and the bit in the sort of what do you call it, like the bathhouse with the woman and the way it's sort of shot with the atmosphere. Yeah, it's more. You think it's just a gore fest, but it has actually got some good filmmaking and good sort of scenery and cinematography and things. But yeah, pretty wild. Probably the most gory, should I say, goriest martial arts film I've seen. What was the other one? Riki-Oh, not quite as intense as that one. But the thing is with this, it's all horrible people that are like trying to kill this little boy. What's his name? Jiro or something? That tells you on the back. So you're kind of rooting for him. Same with Riki-Oh, I guess they're villains, but so is Riki to a certain extent. Whereas this, you're like, he's like a disgraced samurai that's basically travelling around, and yeah, when he's killing the enemies, you sort of feel glad that they're dying because not only are they villains, but obviously they're moralless and ruthless if they're trying to kill like a little baby in his little, I say it's pram. It's like a cart that he can use. He presses a button and blades come out and weapons, and it can like shoot like spears and stuff. Uh, Zombie Flesh Eaters. Oh, so this is the other Lucio Fulci. So yeah, it's gory all the way through. Really well made film. Love the soundtrack. The sort of what do you call it? Like melancholy kind of synth sort of track that opens. Really classic. Really fits well with the film, and was used in this hip hop group I used to like called Circle of Tyrants. Don't know if people know about non-fiction, Necro, Mr. Hyde, those kind of people, sort of underground hip hop from New York. But yeah, they sampled this and then used a little sample out of The Shining. So when the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, I know that sample, it's out of here. But anyway, yeah, more about the gore. It's gory on the whole. When I was a kid, me and my dad rented it from the video shop, but it was cut, so we were like, what's the big thing of this? Whereas loads of gory scenes, but what I'm going to say is a sort of splinter in the eye bit. It's not only gory, it's hard to watch. It's really played at, drawn out, really suspenseful. Not so much gory, but the bit with the shark and the zombie at the start, one of the best scenes I've seen in any film. I just love the way that's filmed, and the idea of a zombie like biting a shark. And then you've got Inside. And not buckets load of gore, bucket loads of gore, but the way when the gore happens, it's intense. Subject of the gore, I guess you could call it. So, if it's a load of zombies being thrown in a wood chopper, then the gore's not going to get to you because you're not rooting for zombies, and because they're not seen as living humans, they've not high stakes. Whereas, I'm not going to spoil this, but I'm sure if anyone's seen it, but some of the violence is done towards a pregnant woman. That's literally on the eve of, I think it's Christmas Eve, on the eve of having giving birth. But yeah, it's really intense. This isn't done in a fun way like some of these splatter films. This is really sort of what do you call? Yeah, it says mean spirited, but yeah, it's quite sort of intense, disturbing stuff. Pretty sort of extreme, really. You've got Suicide Club. Whole film is pretty gory, but it's in a spoiler. Obviously, it's called the Suicide Club. It tells you this on the back. But yeah, there's a scene where 54 high school girls chuck themselves in front of a train, and some films probably kind of show them jump down in a massive what do you call it? Not puddle, massive like glut of blood spray up, or you'd sort of see them jump down in the silhouette from a distance, or fade back and then show the aftermath. But this shows like heads going under the wheels, arms being chopped off. It does look a bit rubbery, to be fair, some of it, but I think it's pretty low budget. Is this Japanese? I always look for the language if it doesn't say on the top what country. AK Suicide Circle, original Japanese title. Jisatsu Sakura. I don't know if I said that right, but yeah, a lot of the Titan Age Extreme, I know what countries they're from, and to be fair, it says on the spine, whereas, yeah, it's a Japanese one. Yeah, it's not really, I mean, because it's low budget, it's not as graphic and disturbing as, say, Inside or Martyrs, but it is not exactly fun as such. It's not a sort of comedy horror splatterfest like, say, Bad Taste. It is pretty intense stuff, and yeah, it's quite a good film. I haven't watched it in years, but next few you got coming up are all similar kind of vein of films. So Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl. So this is from the director of Tokyo Gore Police, it says, which isn't going to be a spoiler, you'll see that again. Got another one called Machine Girl, where she's got like a gun for a leg and things, which I haven't actually seen, but I do need to get that one. But yeah, plot is insane. So basically, one girl becomes a vampire. It's in a spoiler, obviously you can tell by the title. One girl, well, they're fighting over a boy sort of thing, and she sort of puts blood in like a cake she gives to him to try and turn him into a vampire, and then the other girl's so jealous she tries to push him off a roof, and she falls herself, and then her dad's like a mad scientist and like resurrects her as like a Frankenstein's monster girl, and then they do battle with each other. But yeah, not only insane, I mean the premise is just the other ones like in here aren't all serious as such, but this like just the fact that a girl turns to a vampire, a girl turns to a Frankenstein monster, and they fight each other. You know what you're going to kind of be in for. Contains strong, gory, violent. Probably the least gory of these three. I've sort of put them all together, so this goes on a very similar level. Meatball Machine, I've spoke about this before. Yeah, see, the special effects are done by the guy that does Machine Girl and Tokyo Gore Police, but I don't think it's directed by the same guy. Versus, yeah, I was tempted to put Versus in, where they're like chopping each other up with swords. In the comments, name any I haven't seen that you can think of. There's a few I've heard of. That, I mean, Cannibal Holocaust, I was tempted to put it. The gore is disturbing, but it's not. I'm talking these films, fountains of blood kind of thing, and over the top gore, really almost cartoony gore in a lot of these. But I spoke about this before. These aliens enjoy this game where they take over a person's brain, pilot them, and make them fight each other as their own kind of human Gundams, and then they when they can like grow weapons and stuff and upgrade their like the humans they're piloting, and then they make them fight. And yeah, again, just absolute splatterfest. Yeah, the film that started the current round of Japanese splatter gore, so tells you all you need to know. And then the king of these for me, Tokyo Gore Police. Absolute fountains of blood spraying. She's chopping people up with her sword, flying everywhere. The girl from Audition. I've spoke about this one before. I think I spoke about it in my underrated films, same as Meatball Machine. But yeah, it's not just as gore. There's a lot of like weird body effects and people. One guy grows like snail's eyes, and then a woman who's got the lower half turns to a crocodile, and she can like bite people. But not only an insane weird film, but yeah, just absolute over the top gore. Terrifier 2. This is done in a like maybe it's meant to be a black comedy. Most of it is gory in a bit of a fun way, but all I'm going to say without spoiling it is a bedroom scene. Terrifier 1, not quite as gory, a bit with a chainsaw, similar to Bone Tomahawk. You'll know what I mean if you've seen it, or when you watch it. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, the bedroom scene's a bit that sort of pushes this over the edge. But yeah, quite a well made. The first one was just a sort of slasher film with not much plot and setup, whereas this has actually got quite a good story. Human characters in it, really good, especially the woman when she sort of has her armor and stuff on at the end. But yeah, I mean it's pretty mean spirited, but yeah, there is that one bedroom scene is like one of the most gory, disturbing scenes I've ever seen. Top three are pretty top one's interchangeable. Number three could have been number two, probably maybe one in some people's lists if they haven't seen my number one. But Ichi the Killer. So I spoke about this before in the Takashi Miike ranking I did. It's a really entertaining film. I think on IMDb this has got like 7.2 or so, above 7, which for a Japanese splatter film is pretty high. It's based on, I think it's like a manga, anime, whatever you call it, turned into a film, and yeah, it's just insane. People being chopped up, body parts flying, some pretty mean-spirited gore, and then some kind of fun gore. But yeah, it's just, I mean, you could see by on the back, it's just rooms full of like blood with body parts everywhere. Yeah, very sort of intense, crazy, but like I say, done in a kind of over-the-top way where it don't really get to you. Adam Chaplin, I think this is an Italian film. I've only seen this once or twice. I need to watch it again. But yeah, insane. Contains very strong bloody violence. Let's see the language. Tell me on the back. Italian, yeah. So it is an Italian movie. But yeah, basically this guy, I think he's like buried or something. He comes back as like a zombie demon. And he's an amazing fighter. A bit like Riki-Oh. He's punching holes in people, ripping them in half, slashing them up, as you can see from the back. Yeah, I'd say this is maybe one people haven't really heard of. Adam Chaplin. A while ago, I used to look on IMDb or something for the Goriest films, and you see a lot of the usual suspects. But not many people talk about this. Whereas, yeah, this is probably even more intense than Ichi the Killer. Not really done in a comedy way, but still done in a comic book kind of over the top. So it's not that disturbing. It's more like a fun romp, kind of splatterfest. But yeah, I would recommend this if people haven't seen this. Almost got a martial arts kind of style. This did sort of remind me of that one I showed earlier. Let's see, of Boy Kills World, but just a more intense version. There's not too much sort of depth to the film other than the violence. Really, it's not got a great story and the characters aren't great. And yeah, one that also reminded me of this Adam Chaplin and Boy Kills World that I was gonna put in here was Hobo with a Shotgun. Really inventive, low budget. Rutger Hauer, I don't know how you say it, from The Hitcher, but rest in peace. There's a few extreme scenes, but yeah, I don't think it's on the level of these. And then number one, I'm sure people guessed this, Brain Dead, Peter Jackson. So more gory than Bad Taste, also known as Dead Alive. Like Sammy G said, this is on YouTube, so probably shouldn't promote that, but watch it for free, I guess, just because you can't really even buy it nowadays. Choreography in this, like I spoke about with the scene with the baby, amazing. It's a dark comedy, so many quotables. One bit, the zombies are in the graveyard and this priest goes to fight them and he jumps over a tombstone, does like a front flip spinning kick, and when he lands he says, "I kick ass for the Lord." And yeah, there's just loads of funny quotables. The Paqueta, I think she's called, Spanish woman, she's like, "Lionel, your mother ate my dog." It's just wacky fun. Yeah, even when I first seen this, I think when I spoke about it in my in the underrated films I spoke about this, uh I watched it first when I was like 9 or 10, maybe 11, and even though we were like, "Wow, this is extreme," it wasn't in an offensive, disturbing kind of way. It was more in a funny comedy sort of, not quite Shaun of the Dead. I mean, it does make me laugh. Soundtrack's amazing, sort of shot, and like it might be set in like 90s. Oh no, that's shot in 1957. So yeah, it has got an older kind of feel, but it's in New Zealand. I really like the setting and the way there's like the little trams and stuff. And then yeah, obviously most people have probably heard about the lawnmower scene near the end is what I'm gonna say. It's got a ridiculous body count, high body count, uh, loads of really inventive kills. Um, it's like a rat monkey bit when his sort of head gets stepped on and his eye pops out. It's just like quite near the start. Yeah, the intro, where they're carrying the Sumerian rat monkey. These guys are like gone to poach it or whatever, and then one gets bit, and they're shouting Sungaya, and they're like chopping him up. And I mean, the effects are kind of low budget and you'd say a bit rubbery, but they really do work. But yeah, it's kind of got sort of cheesy elements, but it's meant to. But yeah, for me, other than Lord of the Rings is obviously like more polished, whereas probably my favourite. It's up there with Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I put this in my top 15 films of all time list that I did, and probably my second favourite horror film to The Thing. I've watched this loads of times, shown it to my mates who really enjoyed it and thought it was fun. Some of them were just blown away, I'd never seen anything this gory. What year was it? I mean, it's pretty 1992 and it still stands up, still hasn't really been beaten. Hopefully, they won't do a remake of it because I just don't think they could do it as good. But yeah, it's a big sort of monster at the end, crazy. Really, so many memorable bits. Peter Jackson's got a little cameo. I think he plays this like weird scientist guy. A few like sort of cringy moments, but oh yeah, the bit with the custard. That's all I'm gonna say at the dinner. It's just like yeah, when we watched that when we were kids, we just couldn't believe that scene. Yeah, so many you could go on about. It's just so inventive. But yeah, for me, that is the goriest film I've ever seen. Don't think it's ever going to be top. Even if made a film where they just throw absolute buckets of blood at the screen, I don't think it's just going to have the charm and that of this. I was thinking, say, The Shining, obviously when the blood comes down the corridor, a lot of blood used, but there's not too much in the rest of the film. But yeah, like I say, anybody seen any other ones I haven't seen that you think should be in this list, then comment down below. And yeah, hopefully if you haven't seen some of these, are worth it. Not only are they gory, but they're all quite good films. Whereas, yeah, say the Hostel films, some grotesque, a few of the other French extreme ones are like what's it called? Sheetan are kind of gory, but they ain't as great films. So yeah, I think those are not only gory, but they're really well made. Right, thanks everybody for watching. Bye.